Have you ever noticed that some of the most important conversations in life happen when no one has prepared for them? A spouse blurts out, I think we should get divorced. The other person immediately becomes emotional or defensive or shuts down. Emotions rise. Voices could get louder. Someone might leave the room. Days later, they're texting instead of talking. A week later, they're calling attorneys. And before either person has really processed what has happened, they've entered a legal system that neither one fully understands. What if there was a better way to begin? Welcome back to the Restorative Divorce Podcast. I'm Erin Birt, family law attorney, mediator, and creator of the Kitchen Table Divorce and Restorative Divorce Approaches. Before we begin, I want you to know there are two ways I help parents navigate divorce. The first is individually, when one parent is looking for answers, legal guidance, and a thoughtful plan for moving forward. The second is together, when both parents are ready to resolve matters through mediation and create a healthier path for their family. If you're not sure which approach is right for you or your family, visit birtlaw.com and you can schedule the 15-minute introductory call with me. Or if you'd like to better understand your options before making decisions, we can spend 30 minutes together in a planning session. Both options are designed to help you move forward with clarity rather than waiting on the court system to tell you what happens next. Now, let's begin. Today, we're going to talk about something surprisingly simple. Before you begin negotiating your divorce, you need to prepare the table, not just the physical table, but the emotional table, the financial table, and sometimes it's the communication table. The expectations also need to be set because most divorces don't become difficult simply because people disagree. They become difficult because people begin important conversations without structure. Preparation matters. One of the biggest mistakes I see is that people try to negotiate during emotional moments. Maybe that's after discovering an affair. Maybe it's after an argument. Maybe it's after receiving the divorce papers. And maybe it's after talking with well-meaning friends or family. Those are rarely the moments when thoughtful decisions happen. Your brain is trying to protect you. It isn't trying to solve problems in those moments. Fear narrows our thinking and stress shortens our patience. Anxiety makes every issue feel urgent. That is why emotional preparation is every bit as important as legal preparation. Sometimes the best first step isn't discussing the house or the retirement accounts or parenting schedules. Sometimes the best first step is simply agreeing that both want to have a respectful conversation. You need to set your intention. One exercise I often encourage people to think about is this question: what kind of divorce do we want to have? Not who gets the house, who gets the children, what is the schedule, who was right, who was wrong. But how do we want to treat the other person during this process is a very important question. Or how do we want our children to remember this season? Those questions completely change the conversation of divorce. Intentions become the foundation for every decision that follows. Often you have to gather information before you start gathering opinions. Another lesson from my book, The Kitchen Table Divorce, is this: don't negotiate assumptions. Negotiate and discuss information. Before discussing property, gather your financial records. Before discussing parenting, sit down and understand truly your children's schedules. And before discussing retirement, know what retirement accounts and benefits actually exist. Before discussing debts, create a complete list of all debts. I've watched couples argue for weeks over finances simply because neither person actually knew what they owned or had. Information lowers emotions. Clarity creates confidence. And one practical exercise from my book is creating organized folders for things like your bank statements, retirement accounts, tax returns, even draft tax returns, your mortgage or rental information, your income records, your debt statements. When everyone is working from the same information, discussions become much more productive. Now, you'll also have to probably create some communication rules. This may be one of the most overlooked parts of divorce. How are you going to communicate? Will conversations happen by text, by email? Should you have weekly meetings? Will you be able to avoid discussing divorce late at night? Will you agree not to involve the children? Will you avoid social media? Or what are some of the guidelines around social media now? And will you pause conversations when emotions become too elevated? And do you have the capacity to do that? These rules and these questions don't eliminate conflict, but they often prevent unnecessary escalation of conflict. You can think of them as guardrails. You'll have to choose the right environment as well. I use the kitchen table because it's symbolic. It represents where families historically have gathered to solve problems. Your conversations do not literally have to happen in your kitchen, but they should happen somewhere that encourages calm, a place that is neutral, a place that is comfortable and private, not while you're standing in the driveway or not while one person is walking out the door or needs to walk out the door, and not when children are within earshot. The environment affects conversations more than people realize. You'll also need to slow the pace down. Another mistake I see is trying to solve every issue in one meeting. That rarely works. Instead, perhaps you'll discuss parenting one day and then plan to discuss finances another. And then you can discuss property allocation or who's going to keep the house or what are we going to do when we have to sell the house another day. That gives you time to reflect on those individual conversations. It gives you time to research questions and then come back together to have more productive conversations in a calm, hopefully calm manner. There's no prize for finishing quickly. If the agreement falls apart 6 months later, what have you accomplished? So, thoughtful pacing often creates stronger long term agreements. I want to share with you a client story. I remember working with a woman who came into my office completely overwhelmed, and she had spent weeks reading websites, including my own, asking friends for advice, and trying to figure out whether divorce was even the right decision. And she just was so overwhelmed. She wasn't ready to negotiate. She wasn't ready to tell me her goals. She wasn't ready to file for divorce. She wasn't even sure what questions she should be asking. So we didn't begin with legal documents. We began with getting organized. We worked together to gather information. And from that information, we created a roadmap and explored her options. We discussed, frankly, reconciliation and divorce and what do those outcomes likely look like. And once she had more information, more food for thought, her anxiety changed dramatically. She told me something that I'll never forget. I finally feel like I have a plan. And sometimes that's exactly what people need. They just need a plan. They don't need immediate litigation. They need a plan. So, what are your next steps? If you're considering divorce, here's my challenge. Before having another difficult conversation or before having a reaction to say, I just want a divorce without knowing what to say next, prepare the table, gather information, set your intentions, calm your emotions enough. I know it's not easy, but calm them enough that you can choose respectful communication. Create structure and work with professionals that will help you create structure and slow the process down enough to think clearly. You don't have to figure out everything today. You need a better way and a better environment to know about what you have to decide tomorrow. Thank you for joining me for this episode 4 of the Restorative Divorce Podcast. Next time, we'll discuss one of the most important conversations every parent faces during divorce: how to begin talking about parenting before you begin negotiating parenting. If today's episode resonated with you, remember that you don't have to figure this out alone. Whether you are one parent looking for legal guidance or both parents are ready to explore mediation, I'm here to help. You can visit birtlaw.com to schedule a free introductory call with me, or if you'd like to spend more time understanding your options, we can have a 30-minute planning session. I can answer your questions and help you determine the best approach. You'll also find my free kitchen table preparation checklist on our website, along with other resources that can help you have greater confidence and less conflict. Until next time, remember, the goal isn't a perfect divorce. It's creating enough structure, education, and thoughtful conversation to move forward with confidence, clarity, and less unnecessary conflict.